Hello, this is the LEGO Speed Champions McLaren F1 Team MCL38, the 2024 car. Set comes with just short of 270 pieces. It cost me $27 US, it's 27 euros, 23 pounds UK, or $35 Canadian. Here's the newer car in the middle next to the previous Speed Champions McLaren, and this is the current city line one that's heavily simplified for younger kids and such. One of the biggest differences you can tell from a distance, or that I first see from a distance, other than the differences that should be there between the two car designs in real life, would be right here with the suspension. It's very, very obvious you have these nice suspension pieces that are very, very specialized compared to the old one that's very, very plain here. They had a couple of bucket handle pieces to try to represent a couple of the connection points there, a couple of the linkages, but it's a big, big difference in detail there. Also, this one's much more vibrant with the nose, the printed nose piece that is based on orange, while the previous one was based on black and had terrible print on top of it that was not opaque enough. And the new one has the wider tires the way that they always should have. So you can readily tell the difference there. This is objectively one of the more complex 2025 Speed Champions Formula One sets, just by part number, and I could definitely feel it in the build. I've not built all of these. This is the fourth one that I've put, well, technically the third. I've built 4 in total up to this point, and this definitely felt like it was up there with the Ferrari being just a little bit more complex than this in how it went together, but this is a little bit more frail. Some of the parts I feel are more likely to fall off on this if you're not careful with it. Some of the parts tend to get a little bit misaligned if you're not careful with it, but it was really interesting. It was definitely, once again, completely unique. You can see even from the underside some of the strategies that were employed here. I mean, what? So much upside down building using the clips here. The way that the whole rear end is attached is not the same as all of them all together. There are some similarities between some of the cars. And again, I'm not going to build every single one of them, but just some of the major ones and good ones for comparison. I've seen people complaining that this one scrapes against the ground. It does not. However, if you push down on it, or if you build it wrong, it will scrape against the ground. Or if you're going over a soft surface or like a carpet or something, because it is extremely close. I think it's the closest to the ground of anything that LEGO has ever done that's supposed to actually roll. It's supposed to be not touching the ground. You can see that normally the lowest level that they will allow is, I believe, 1 plate above the ground, and that's right where this reduced or lowered section of the specialized old chassis piece is, to get the driver as low as possible. But then these studs stick down farther than that. Plus they also have the height of the LEGO logo beneath them. So if you've got a bend in this because of the way that you've built it, then it will be scraping. But if it's built properly over a smooth surface, it is just fine. It's definitely interesting that they're getting closer and closer to the ground. I thought that they had reached the absolute max and they wouldn't go any farther. But here, they did. They allowed an exception, and I respect that. It's okay to change your rules from time to time. Overall, this looks pretty good. This did use a lot of stickers. I like the design of the stickers for the rear wing right there. Just the fact that it brought in some nice shaping. I did use some care for the alignment of the front winglet stickers. It's not the best the way that it turned out. I wish that we had a little bit more to work with there. The printing for these tires is excellent. Some of the best printing that I've seen from LEGO ever, because it's white against black. And they have shown here once again, apologists are always talking about, oh, they can't do better. Stop asking LEGO to do better, but they can do better. Look at that. That white is opaque. That is white, printed against black, not even against plastic, but against the rubbery material that's used for the tires. And those are dual molded as well. That's fantastic. Actually, the prints for the wheel inserts there with the chrome colors there, the Google colors, are not as good, even though those are printed against black. Lots of stickers, of course. You're going to see stuff on the inside. Just generally, it's kind of par for the course for Speed Champions stuff. It's too bad about this gap right here. Oh, let me tell you, when I was building these side pods, they're like, okay, go ahead and put that sticker on. Go ahead and put that sticker on. I did not trust them. I've gotten gun shy with stickers on Speed Champions sets. So many of them really need to be aligned relative to one another based on steps ahead of where you are. You know, where you really would do best to wait before applying the stickers if you want to try to get them to have lines that connect better. But in this case, I didn't have to worry about that in the end. But it's just funny that's starting to have kind of almost a PTSD effect on me. You tell me to put the stickers now. I don't know about that. Feels like a trick. These are actually prints. So that's a print right there. And that's a print right there. Too bad about the little bit of gap towards the front, but the quality's fine, which it should be. I mean, it's black against a light color. Stickers down inside of there. You've got the one ski piece for just a little bit of shark fin. This is, I don't know, it felt like there's a little bit more flexibility in here than on some of the others. You see how it's bending right at the front of the cockpit. It's not a big deal. I'm not too concerned about it. These definitely clearly are not made to be played with, though. I think it has enough durability. Like, I don't think it's bad, but it's definitely moving more in the direction of model, which is a conscious choice, away from toy and towards true collectible for display. And again, I do respect that choice, but it is something that I wanted to be sure to call out, let you know about, let you know that I'm noticing that I'm feeling. These specialized pieces used for the front suspension, they look excellent. They really look great, but you do have to recognize that it is kind of a cheat, right? They weren't able to do better than that, even though they've continually added more and more pieces to the inventory of parts, the library of parts that they have that are more useful for different things. But here they just gave in and made these specialized parts. And I think it was a good choice. But again, it takes them farther away from the way things used to be, from the classic Lego style of mostly parts that are usable for a bunch of things, not everything, but printed yoke, that's the same normal fare. 4 studs down there in the base of the cockpit. So if you put a figure in there, be careful. The legs might get stuck a little bit. The build of the airbox was pretty nice on this one. I liked how that turned out. No detail underneath or anything. These little gaps in here, not the best. Again, these gaps on the sides. So just, I guess the side pod design just isn't as nice to look at, isn't as aesthetically pleasing to me as some of the others. Again, that's okay, but just giving you my subjective thoughts about that. Larger rear tires was a must. Finally have those. That's a good thing. And all in all, I think it looks pretty good. And this print here, once again, pretty good, with the exception of just the little bit of gap around the edge. Unfortunately, they did not print all the way to the edge with this one, and that takes away from it a little bit. It's noticeable, but it's a heck of a lot better than having you put a few stickers on there instead, or worse, starting with black and then trying to print orange on top of that really, really poorly and ending up with this sort of effect where that's the color it's supposed to be. That's the color you get. Yeah, not so good. This is definitely better. These LEGO 2025 Formula One minifigures are not intended to represent any specific driver. If there's any similarity that any of us happen to notice, it is coincidence. They are not licensing, and they're not sneaking on the license. They do have to take those things pretty seriously. But it's become more and more of a topic as I've built more of these over on Twitch and also with the reviews, looking in comments, that the level of detail here is poor. It's really, really low. It's shockingly low. It's lower than it's ever been in the Speed Champions line, as far as I can recall. I mean, they used to do some pretty nicely detailed ones, and you can do a generic team-specific livery, right? You can do a generic team-specific fire suit without having anything that identifies them as a particular person in real life. But they went really, really, really plain, which is odd to me. And I don't know why they did that. I know it's a conscious choice. I doubt it was 100% a Lego choice, because these things, their design and all that goes into a license like this involves a lot of back and forth with the license holder and a lot of control, I believe, on their side. Not everything, but some major decisions. And yeah, as a result, we just end up with figures that don't look as interesting. The helmet design itself, the physical design, remains very, very good. And here we have a very simple color scheme that obviously just ties everything together. That looks nice from most angles until you start to realize that, oh, that helmet is way above the halo. We've talked about this, and we'll talk about it every single time. Everybody has talked about it. The head's just too high. Even though they tried to put the whole character as low, the whole figure as low as possible. It's just not low enough. So if you want to get that lower, you have to take out the legs and, put some custom adapters in there, and that is what it is. Or try to run the halo up higher, but still that's not enough. So yeah, it is. I think you can actually raise the rears here a little bit if you want to cheat the rear end of the halo loop a bit. But all in all, I think this looks good until you take it a little bit too seriously, or just seriously enough, and realize that something about this just isn't right. A little bit of customization, not too many pieces, would definitely help. These are the leftover parts, and that gem piece is a really interesting inclusion. I'm assuming that there was a clever reason why they used that with the iridescence and everything. It's 2 of them placed directly on that inner chassis piece. So I decided on step 4, really, really early on, but I wasn't able to see what the geometric reason for it was, or if it's just because they wanted to get more of those out in the market or something. I don't know. I don't know what that exactly means, but it's cool. And this is the sticker sheet. So here you can see more of just how complex the build is, because there are a lot of small pieces that have individual stickers on them. Again, this has just shy of 270 pieces for $27 US. So members of the cult of price to part ratio and the great magical 10-cent number will be very, very satisfied today. It's 27 euros, 23 pounds UK, or $35 Canadian. But of course, as that sticker sheet that I just showed you proves, this has a lot of small pieces. But going back, I guess, on the side of Lego here and value, and celebrating what they've done to progress the designs of these things, it's complex. And like I said earlier, it's feeling more like a plastic model, less like a traditional Lego build. It's just a lot easier to build than a plastic model. Only requires adding a bunch of stickers, no decals, no paint, no touch up, no sanding, no filing, no glue. And you get something that looks really, really good. And these are definitely significantly more complex than they were in the $25 days, and sure as heck more complex than they were in the $20 days. We are paying more for sure, but we are getting more. I'm just not looking forward to the next price raise where it's going to be $30 for Speed Champions, and that's going to be the new floor, the new base level. It's just going to keep going up. This is a very large car as well. You compare this to the old normal for an open wheel car. And of course, before this, they were 4 studs wide, but this is 6 studs wide. And yeah, we're getting more and we're paying more. But at least I think what we get here is good. This is probably not one of the best of the builds, in my opinion, from what I've seen and from what I've experienced so far. Just a lot of finicky things, but different, at least different. If you like the car, if you like the team, this one's definitely worth picking up over the old one. Unless you're satisfied with this. If this is fine enough to you, this is not a must build. But if you're interested in this and you kind of want it, I would say go ahead and do it. It's not going to feel like you're building just another one of these with a few side pod pieces changed out. It's a completely different thing, a completely different beast. And even if you have one other set from this line, from the 2025 line, chances are this one's going to be very different from it as well. So the build experience is definitely there and definitely brings you some unique value. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.